Saturday Summit. I just want to thank everybody for coming out and making time on your Saturday to join us. And I'm going to try to get through my content as quickly as possible so that Briana can demo, and then we can ultimately move on to just a general kind of town hall meeting discussion. Any questions you guys may have. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and click on Nathan's screen and pop up the agenda. So first of all, I think we can introduce everybody. Berkeley, I didn't add you to this list. My apologies. It was late. But why don't we go ahead and introduce ourselves. I'll go ahead and start. I'm Quincy, and I am a teacher at FreeCodeCamp. Berkeley?
Hi, everyone. I'm Berkeley.
You're breaking up a little bit, Berkeley.
Did you guys hear me?
No. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to Nathan.
Hey guys, I think you probably all know me. Nathan Terrakilobyte in the chat room. I am a teacher at FreeCodeCamp, focusing more on JavaScript, as well as a core developer.
All right, and Michael?
Hey everybody, I'm Michael Johnson, aka Code Nonprofit, and I handle most of the nonprofit coordination and nonprofit projects at FreeCodeCamp.
All right, Briana?
Hi, I am Briana. In the chat room, I'm Briana Marie. I'm also on Twitter. I am a camper at FreeCodeCamp. I'm a music teacher during the day, and I'm going to be showing my first app that I built with Storeback.
Awesome. And I'd like to introduce Dan Raley. Dan has been a camper for a long time. I'll just command click on his profile so you can see like his incredible streak. I noticed last night that he has a great streak. How do I make this full screen so we can actually see that? You can see that he's quite active, and he's very active on Camper News as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Dan, and he can talk a little bit more about what he's doing.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan Raley, the same in the chat room at Dan Raley and on Twitter. And I am serving in the role of Content Strategy Manager. And basically what I'm doing is looking at the content we are pushing out through our social media channels to make sure we're maximizing our returns on that from a search engine optimization standpoint to drive traffic to our websites through our different avenues for that, be it our blogs or through social media channels, YouTube, etc. And I will also be project owner over the field guide section as well, where I'll be writing the code and content for upcoming articles. So you should see the field guide section expand exponentially and continue to be a huge resource of articles for all of the campers to reference in their learning and development.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Dan. We're thrilled to have you on board, and I'll be quick to point out that you guys may have seen the article on Medium, the 25. I think it's Coding Explained in 25 Profound Webcomics. It's been pretty popular on Medium, and that was all Dan. He kind of came up with the idea of putting it to the community on Camper News. And in fact, I think I'm going to see if I can go ahead and show. We have another such event going right now, which is Coders Worth Following. So we have a lot of submissions already, which is great. Please feel free to submit any coders that you've found on Twitter that have great Twitter feeds that are really informative, because we'd love to include them in our we're going to create a list on Wednesday of the 25 coders that are worth following on Twitter. It's not going to be exhaustive, obviously. There are way more than 25 coders worth following, but like the 25 essential canonical coders that are going to help elucidate your path toward being good at coding. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in. Like I said, I want to be as quick as possible so we can have plenty of time for discussion. And first, let's talk a little bit about our translation effort. I'm going to actually go over to the other articles. As you can see, we're using our field guide as kind of a slide deck for this meeting. So as you guys know, we've been working really hard, especially a lot of our campers have been working really hard to translate freeCodeCamp into a variety of major world languages. And I wanted to show everybody some of that progress. We started this effort about 2 weeks ago, and already we've got quite a few sections of our challenges fully translated. I especially want to point out this gentleman who is, let's see, he's probably not opening that. Could you click on that for me, Nathan?
Which one?
To expand it, like one of these cards. There, thank you. This guy right here, Miyagui, he has been pretty much single-handedly knocking down our Spanish translation. Our Portuguese team, there are quite a few campers that are working very actively on translating freeCodeCamp into Portuguese, which, as you guys may have heard, is our second biggest language now in terms of the number of campers. And the other thing I wanted to show you is that we've got a nice, strong team of Russians or Russian speakers that are helping us translate things. And we even have a gentleman who approached me. We weren't originally going to create German as a language because, Germany has basically the best English education system in the world. I mean, it's incredible how well most Germans can speak English. Yet, this camper approached me and said, like, hey, let's do German. I'll be happy to help out with it. And sure enough, he's walking the walk and actually translating everything, which is phenomenal. So we also, of course, have campers translating things into Chinese, and we are really excited to get as much of freeCodeCamp translated as possible, as soon as possible. So let's see if this actually takes me to the next article here.
It's...
Yeah, maybe you could navigate. That's weird. I literally just put this together before we started streaming, guys, so thanks for your patience. And by the way, I see a lot of people asking questions. We're going to get to all those questions at the end of this. But thank you. Just please continue to ask questions as they pop up, and we'll scroll through there. So let's talk a little bit about supporting languages that aren't currently supported or on the roadmap for support. Well, in my mind, translation is really an all-or-nothing proposal. There are lots of languages in the world. I mean, there are thousands of languages that we'd love to support, but it's a question of whether we can support them well. So unless we can actually fully support them in the sense that every single challenge can be translated into that language, and ultimately we'd love to also translate the field guide articles into all the languages that we support. Unless we can do that, then I don't think we're going to be comfortable putting it up on freeCodeCamp, because we don't want to have like a reduced experience for our campers where like a lot of the content is inaccessible in their language. We'd really like to make everything on freeCodeCamp in those languages. Additionally, we'd like to make sure that we can maintain these languages and that we don't have decoupling between the English language version, which I think all these challenges are going to be created initially in English. That's how we've been doing it. We don't want there to be a big decoupling along the way. So if you really want us to translate freeCodeCamp into your language, and if you want to get a big effort and some friends behind that, we would absolutely welcome that. But just make sure that it's something that you guys can see through, because it's not really going to do anybody good if you only get like halfway through the challenges. I just want to publicly state that right now. We're not going to be able to publish languages that aren't complete in terms of having, translated all of freeCodeCamp's challenges. And if you guys want to get involved in the process of translating things, you can just reach out to me directly on Slack, and I'll add you to the Trello board. The other thing to note is that you can create little private groups, for example, on Slack, and we've actually got some. We pared back all of our Slack rooms to just the bare essentials, but we also created language-specific Slack rooms. So we hope that those will be useful for you guys in communicating with people. And many of you guys may be asking, why are we doing this? Why are we translating freeCodeCamp into all these languages when English is the language of software development, right? It's the language of international business. Like, whether that's a product of colonialism or whether that's a product of America's exceptionally prosperous 20th century, I don't know. But I do know that English is critically important, and I definitely do not want to give people the impression that they can get away with not learning English at some point, because I think it's probably one of the most important skills that you can learn in the 21st century. And please pardon me, I know that sounds perhaps pompous coming from a native English speaker. I have spent 5 years of my life trying to get really good at Chinese and living in China, and I know how difficult it is to learn another language thoroughly, but it is worth the effort for English. I guarantee it. Like, you will definitely get good returns for your efforts. So let's talk about what aspects of FreeCodeCamp will not be translated into your native language. First of all, the nonprofit projects. That's 800 hours of collaboration on real-world projects, which Briana is about to demo an example of this. Like, those meetings are conducted exclusively in English. The pair programming associated with them, the correspondence in Slack, we're going to keep all that stuff in English. And we've been very successful with that. We've had non-native English speakers who have gone through our nonprofit projects and had great success, despite the disability. Essentially, not being a native English speaker is kind of a disability, at least in terms of doing these nonprofit projects. We've had campers rise to the challenge and do it anyway. So, real quick, if anybody who's on the stream is not talking right now, if you guys could mute yourselves, just to reduce the atmospheric noise. So, anyway, we're going to translate everything in the challenges, the first 800 hours, into your native language, hopefully. And that way you can focus on learning to code rather than trying to learn English and learning to code at the same time. Because, frankly, that's like trying to learn archery while you're riding a horse. It's just not the logical progression. Really, you want to learn some coding, and then you want to stop and maybe study some English and then learn some more coding. You don't want to try to do the two at the same time. It'll be a recipe for confusion and stress. And learning to code is stressful enough. So we want to minimize that. Hence our efforts to meet you in your own language. So that's all I'm going to say about languages. I just want to quickly thank everybody who's helping with the translation effort and encourage anybody who's interested in also participating. So next, I want to talk very briefly about our new mobile experience that we're working on. As you've probably noticed, coding on a phone is pretty tough. It's not a very fun thing to do. And this picture describes probably an hour or two of your life every day, right? Like, you're commuting, either you're riding a bus or a subway or you're driving. You don't necessarily have the luxury of sitting down and pulling out your laptop and being able to actually code. So we want to create a video-driven experience so that you can learn while you're on the go. Now, we've looked at a lot of different data, such as this by Philip Guo with edX, surrounding like the length of videos, and it's clear that the shorter the video is, the more it's going to hold your attention and the more you're probably going to retain. But there's kind of like an optimal length, which is about 6 minutes, according to Philip Guo. So we're going to try to find or create good 6-minute videos and then put some sort of multiple choice interaction at the end so that you can really struggle with what you've just absorbed and verify that you've learned it thoroughly. We think a natural place to focus this is interviewing. There is a skill called Colluding Interviewing, and basically it's very separate from actually coding. If you go to Google or Amazon or a lot of these places, they're going to ask you a ton of questions, like what's the answer to this? How long would this take? And you need to have kind of a mental framework for how you can answer these questions. And then they're also going to put you in front of a whiteboard and expect you to solve very common, kind of almost out of a standard hiring playbook type questions. And actually, the majority of those questions come from this one book. I would say if you only wanted to read one book to learn to interview, you'd want to read, Gail Lackland's McDowell's book. She's quite knowledgeable about this. So one of the things we're going to try to do with these video lessons is take this book, break it down, and distill it into short videos, essentially, or find existing videos that describe the algorithms and concepts covered in this book. So again, this book is basically going to be the playbook for our mobile experience. But that said, we're still in the process of designing this, and we can include a lot of additional content. Our goal is to just help you to learn more effectively while you're traveling and while you're away from your computer, which for most of us is several hours a day if we're commuting every day. And the final thing I wanted to talk about, which I'm very excited about, FreeCodeCamp is going to start issuing certificates. This is not like Coursera where they charge money. They charge you like $70 and you get a certified track. This is going to be completely free. We're going to create modules of our curriculum and kind of bound them so that when you complete that sequence of challenges, you will be eligible for a certificate, and what we'll do is we'll probably email you a PDF, and then you can print it out however you'd like it. Obviously, if they're free, we can't necessarily budget the logistics to actually print nice certificates and send them to you, but you can definitely take them to Kinko's or wherever and print out a nice certificate if you'd like. And I just want to give you an idea of what these certificate programs will look like. Basically, they're going to be built into our core curriculum. We're not forking our curriculum or diverging in any way. Basically, we're just putting certificate checkpoints into our curriculum. And the first one, what we're going to start off with, and what we most commonly have requested by campers, is front-end development. Now, you can learn some basic front-end development very easily. In fact, if you've gone through the first part of our curriculum, you've actually learned quite a bit of basic front-end development. And so we start off with front-end development, and we're going to restructure our front-end development curriculum just a little bit to emphasize a more practical aspect to it. So we're going to do our existing HTML5 and CSS challenges that I personally created over the last few months, and the Bootstrap challenges. And then I'm working on jQuery, Ajax, and JSON API challenges that are also going to be similar, where you've got the iPhone on the right-hand side and you code and you can see the changes. We're going to do similar stuff like that, and I'm creating APIs within FreeCodeCamp specifically for these challenges. So that these challenges, the goal is to actually prepare you to be able to just sit down and immediately bang out these 5 zip lines. So again, we have the basic instructional content, and then we have the evaluation criteria. Can you complete these zip lines? And if you can complete them, then we'll issue you a certificate. And we estimate that all of this will take about 200 hours. And this is just our basic front-end development. We're going to have some more advanced front-end development that will probably involve AngularJS or React.js or some other cool client-side JavaScript libraries and frameworks. So this is really just kind of the tip of the iceberg. This is not like a terminal degree, if you will. But it's something that you can put on your LinkedIn. And ideally, for people that already know Python or Ruby or PHP or Java that are already using that sort of stuff for the back end, a lot of people don't necessarily want to learn full stack JavaScript. And we want to make an option for those other people who can at least get something out of FreeCodeCamp that's very directly applicable to what they're doing. Because front-end development concepts are useful regardless of what you're doing, in my opinion. So the good news is if you've already completed these challenges, don't worry. You're going to be retroactively eligible. And there might be a few extra ones that you'll want to go in and complete, but this shouldn't be an inconvenience at all for you guys. It should just be something you can grab on the way. And we're hoping to ultimately have a JavaScript-related certification and a full-stack JavaScript certification as well. So these certifications are going to be designed by none other than Ryan Malm, the designer who has basically dictated FreeCodeCamp's look and feel and did some of the graphic art you see on FreeCodeCamp. So we're very excited to announce that. All right. Well, I've covered everything I want to cover, and I'm happy to hand this off to Briana so that she can demo her project. Briana, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right, take it away.
Okay, so here, I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger, press here. An app that Jeff Storbeck, he's in the chat, says Storbeck, and I built for the Columbus Music Foundation. Their goal was to really showcase the organizations that they fund, including their main one is the Columbus Songwriters Association. So here they wanted 4 big blocks, and luckily the stakeholder was really clear and had a really clear vision for what he wanted. It made it pretty easy to get going quickly off the ground. As you can see, there's 4 organizations that are really focused on. When you hover over it, it gives you a paragraph with some basic information, and it also kind of triggers more of the slideshow of pictures that's happening. There's also links that go relevant places. If you click this, expands to fill up the screen, it shows some social media things that happen there, and you can either escape key, click, or there's a little X in the corner to get out of that full screen view. So it's a relatively simple web page. Over here, we've got a hamburger menu that Jeff built. These links, we're still waiting on some information from the stakeholder to have those go somewhere. We aren't sure yet if they're going to go to an outside page or if they're going to just go to another page on this site that'll be a form. And at the top, there will be kind of an image, a logo that he's having designed. But other than that, it's really, it's pretty much done. It's been a fun project.
This is Michael Johnson. I was the one who put together this project and this team, and I just want to commend Briana and Jeff for an amazing job. They presented exactly what the stakeholder, whose name is Joey Hendrickson, was looking for. And, when I was putting together the team, I knew Briana was a music teacher, and I thought, what better than to associate a camper with a project like the Music Foundation. So Joey had come to us, and they were rebranding. They used to be the Songwriters Association, and he needed help getting that rebranding digital. And these guys got this done in, I think, about 2 weeks, maybe 3, and everything to tie up the project. They're just waiting on the stakeholder. So well done, Briana. Well done, Jeff. And I can't wait to work with you guys on another project.
Awesome. Thank you.
Briana, maybe I can just ask you some questions about the site, and we could look in the Twitch chat and see if anybody has questions. But what technologies did you use to build the site?
Really basic, the same frameworks that freeCodeCamp uses. A lot of the things that I learned about this were from Storbeck. We used Jade and SCSS, just kind of getting things off the ground, which was new for me. And for the slideshow feature, we used something called BX Slider. It was really easy to implement. We just had to toy around a little bit, but other than that, it was really a good library. Most of the animation is CSS animation, a little bit of JavaScript, but nothing too advanced. It's really pretty. It was a good learning experience. It was pretty easy.
Well, that's the idea, and you guys did a great job. I wish that we could show how this looks on mobile, but the Hamburger Menu on mobile is perfect, and I'm just so proud of you guys. So thanks again for your hard work and great work on this project. And I just want to, I don't have too much to present today, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up about 4 nonprofit projects we have coming up. There's a lot more than that, but we're doing a Think Kids project for Mass General Hospital, and that's going to work with their Department of Psychiatry and at-risk and troubled teens. We're going to help them with a volunteer management system. You guys may have seen earlier this week, I tweeted out, we are partnering with Safe Hands for Girls, who are trying to eradicate FGM, female genital mutilation, in, I believe it's Ghana or Gambia. We're also partnering with Child First Authority, which is a school district in Baltimore. And a 4th is Triangle Bike Works, and they take recycled bikes, present them to teens, and take them on historical bike adventures. So we're really excited about all of these. I just wanted to sneak that in there. There's plenty more coming. I am on the phone with stakeholders every day trying to put together projects for you guys. So finish the curriculum, get excited, help some nonprofits, and grow with freeCodeCamp. In May, our summit had about 15,000 campers, and now we're at just under 29,000. So we've doubled since the last time we did this. I can't wait to work with you guys. Keep coding, keep working hard. That's all I got.
Awesome. It looks like I saw a question there for me. What we started with. Images were actually one of the last things we got. Joey gave us a pretty specific idea of the layout he wanted, and so we spent the first couple days and really that first week just working up mock-ups in wireframe so we could get an idea more specifically before we put anything into code. And then once we got that nailed down, we put in just some placeholder images and started coding away.
Briana, what was that wireframe site you guys used?
I believe we used Mockingbird, Mockingjay, something like that. It wasn't anything we could save on at the time. I don't remember exactly. It was something Jeff found.
Okay.
I think we could download them. I went back and tried to find it on Mockingbird or Mockingjay, and I remember we could save then, but we can't save now. I think they've changed their format of their site a little bit.
Either way, they looked great. So if you figure out what you used, please share that with the camp, and you guys can use that to wireframe in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, this is Quincy Larson. I have pulled a whole lot of different questions out of the Twitch stream, and I am going to paste them somewhere where we can all see them. Actually, I'll message them to Nathan, and he can display them, and then we can try to knock them out, and we could probably collaboratively.
Yeah,
knock them out as well.
I've got some questions that I've gotten out of chat as well. Yeah, on my screen.
Well, I'll send you my questions, and maybe you can do a quick merge. And yeah, let's do that. I included the person who asked them, so we can thank them for asking as well.
All right. So starting from the top. Sorry, I only just joined in. How can I participate in this translation? I would be glad to help translate it into Dutch. Again,
go ahead.
So that question was answered already. Chris Voss, if you go into the field guide and you click down in the languages section, you will see a link to a Trello board. You will also see instructions saying that just message Quincy Larson in Slack, and he can add you to a specific language.
All right, and Tasty Baguette asked, won't there be copyright issues with straight-up mirroring content from a book into video form? We will make sure that we don't violate any copyright issues. A lot of these questions we think are just common. It's common knowledge. They've just been kind of accumulated and put together into this canonical book. But we're going to make sure that we don't violate anybody's copyrights with these. Same thing with the YouTube videos. We'll make sure if we embed other people's YouTube videos that we attribute it.
All right. So this name, which I won't attempt to pronounce, are they going to be verified or something? I'm assuming that he or she is talking about our front-end certificates.
Yes. Actually, Nathan, the guy who was just talking a second ago, he is building a pretty awesome, ambitious app that will basically make it easier for us to peer review these completed zip lines, base jumps, and other work. Nathan, I don't know if you want to talk about that any.
I can, sure. Okay, they're saying my microphone volume. Okay. So I've started kind of looking at, I didn't want that. There. Okay, so if I go to Trello, I'm in the process of planning it out. I still have some technology selections. I still have to knock out some wireframes. But essentially, I'm going to be creating an app called FAVS for FreeCodeCamp. It's the feedback and verification system. So part of it is a lot of people have asked or shown interest in like a peer review for their submission of bonfires. I think it'd be something neat that would be an opt-in feature. So I want to start building it. FAVS is going to run separate than FreeCodeCamp. It'll be on a different server, and it will be kind of an invite-only thing. If you opt into it for the peer review, you won't see a link pop up until you've progressed through some of the level 3 bonfires. At that point, we feel that you could probably give good feedback to other people. So that's it right there. The second part of the system is going to be people that we trust that have shown ability to help actually verify all zip lines and bonfires that are submitted. Any of you guys that have done zip lines or base jumps, know that there's a place where you put in a URL to where your zip line is at. Our intent is to make it a lot easier for the reviewers to actually find that. So this system will auto-populate it. Once you put in a submission, it'll pop up in this system. And when the reviewer clicks on it, they'll get your submission as well as a link. They can go check out the link, go through your code, and then provide you feedback, and you should get an email based on that feedback. And then we'll internally mark it as whether it was kind of nonprofit project worthy. So then the last part of the section that most users will be interested in is actual nonprofit queue management. So when someone completes all of our zip lines and all of our base jumps, they'll enter the nonprofit queue, And we'll use this system to actually go over, look through all the bonfire submissions, all the zip lines, all the base jumps, look at what feedback has been given to you already. Look at if there was improvement that was needed. I mean, a lot of you guys are rock stars and do great right off the bat. Some people like me, I needed help along the way. So we'll look at progress and things like that. And then if you're ready for a nonprofit, you'll be added in. If not, then the intent is for feedback to be given on maybe things that you can look at or work on in order to get there. Our product is you guys, and we want to make sure that you guys are ready to work on those nonprofits and deliver a quality product to these organizations that are in need. So, but that's the system. I still have a lot to plan on it. I'll be blogging and streaming. A lot of it's development. And if you guys are interested in working on this system, working on implementing it, you can send me a message in Slack. I'm at TerraKilobyte. You can also find me on Twitter. You can find my blog. My email's out there. Really easy to get in touch with me.
Wonderful. Thanks for going into that, Nathan. Actually, you mentioned that it involves a lot of, it'll be a process for evaluating people and their preparedness for starting the nonprofit projects. And I don't even think I had time to mention that to Michael. Michael, did you catch all that?
That was news to me. I'm excited. I'm doing backflips. Anything we can have to better assemble teams and do better for the organizations that are taking a chance on us is great. And thank God for Nathan, huh?
Indeed. This is going to be an incredible open source project. I was telling Nathan, this is the kind of evaluative software that universities and public school systems will pay millions of dollars for. And we're going to be able to open source it and make it available to them for free. Well, granted, they'll have to customize it a little bit, but I mean, this is going to be a powerful tool.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nathan, you want to pop up that question queue again?
Mm-hmm.
We still have plenty of good questions from our viewers.
So the verified, we went over that and introduced a new application that'll be coming out of the FreeCodeCamp repository space. The Stanford course had a verification URL on certificate, which I thought was cool. There's places that do that a lot. We'll do the same through using a UUID on their certificates. So people will always be able to query and say, hey, did this person actually do that, or did they just make their own certificate? If you guys are interested, we'll write an easy blog post on how a system like that works. It's not difficult at all. The next one, does FreeCodeCamp go further into CSS HTML than the first couple sections you go through before you get into jQuery? Quincy, do you want to talk about that? Quincy?
I'm having some minor audio issues. I don't know if it's just me.
Okay. Currently, we don't go into more CSS HTML than we do. We're always evaluating ways to make our curriculum better. It becomes a fine line for us when Quincy and I and Berkeley and everyone else talk about the curriculum development on where do we focus the effort and where do we focus the time. Yes, TerraKilobyte's in real life name is Nathan. So we are planning a JavaScript curriculum that'll be in-house, and it's going to be pretty in-depth. We've looked at the offerings out there, and we've always found ourselves recommending additional stuff to people. and programming is moving. It's a moving target. Where like the general idea is. So we're evaluating and making our own JavaScript curriculum that'll start from the basics, go through, how to do object-oriented programming JavaScript the right way. But then it's going to really kind of take a deep dive more in towards the functional programming space. It's super easy to do in JavaScript. JavaScript is very well suited to do it because you can do functional programming pretty easily, and then when it gets really hard and you're like, oh, this is just getting a little too hairy, you can always switch back and go imperative at any time you want. JavaScript will let you do both at the same time. So with the zip lines, the base jumps, and we're going to be adding more, we plan to add more bonfire challenges, and we plan to basically greatly increase the length of our JavaScript curriculum. Trying to hit that estimate of 1,600 hours, and then fit all of that stuff into that time can be a little bit difficult. So we probably will add additional resources. If you're interested more in the front end stuff, for like advanced HTML, advanced CSS, and that's something that Quincy and I and the others would have to evaluate, and it looks like we lost connection with them. Okay, won't there be copyright issues? That's the wrong question list. I don't think there's a firm timeline on when the front-end certification is coming out. Soon, trademark. It will be probably before the next camper meeting. So how can I help with the Spanish translation? Again, go to the field guide article, look at how to contribute. What about Punjabi, Klingon, and Dutch? As Quincy said, we want to focus on languages that are going to be widely used and also maintainable. So unless we can do it all, or it's kind of an all or none thing. Unless we can translate all of them into the language, it's not going to be done. Okay, now we can get Quincy back in. As far as Klingon, probably not going to happen. And I think we answered the Dutch question as well. We answered the question on the copyright issues for the mobile. Okay, how did we arrive at our 200-hour estimate?
This is Quincy. I can take that one.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. So first of all, like, all of our estimations are very broad. They are not very precise because everybody is going to take a different amount of time. If you're watching TV while you're coding, obviously you're not going to be as productive. If you are coding through a screen reader, it's probably going to take a little bit longer. There are all these other things that can change the amount of time it takes. If you're non-native English speaker, that's a disadvantage that would possibly make it longer for you to be able to code. So these are rough estimates, but 200 hours I think is I try to err on the side of making the hour estimates a little bit longer. But we used to actually have hour estimates on each challenge, and people would constantly write me and say, like, oh, this took a lot more longer than 30 minutes. So we ultimately got rid of those. So I'm going to basically say that our 200-hour estimate is a wild guess.
Okay. So I'll talk about this this next one. So Ember, Someone asked a question like, are we going to teach Ember? So right now we teach Angular, and there's not a lot of a plan. There's not a big plan to change anytime soon. As far as it, like the next big thing that's coming is going to be the JavaScript curriculum, and we've sat down and talked about this, and we feel that with better JavaScript, with a deeper understanding of JavaScript in general, you guys are going to pick up on any front-end framework pretty easily. I mean, they all have their little differences and things like that, but we hope to be able to empower you guys to really learn how to learn. Get comfortable reading through documentation, get comfortable playing around, trying new things. Ember is difficult because none of the lead developers on FreeCodeCamp right now really use Ember. So it becomes a question of maintainability, which we find ourselves asking about Angular. Angular 2 is on the horizon. Angular 1.3 is out right now. Should we get questions like, are you going to switch to Angular 2? Right now, everything's in a giant state of flux. So we find ourselves in a strange place where we're kind of held hostage by the programming landscape and what's out there and what's popular. I mean, right now, Angular is by far the most popular, and we really have to focus to get you guys, ready in order to go out the door. Do you want to add anything else to that, Quincy? Sound issues with Quincy again?
Sorry, I was muted.
Okay.
No, that was an excellent explanation, Nathan, and that was way better than what I was going to say. I can tackle the next one, though. When is the certification going to be available? We hope to have it available in June. That would be like best case scenario, but possibly July. But we're hustling on it. I mean, it's one of our top priorities right now.
Okay, so questions for Briana. I know you said, Briana, are you still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, great. I know you said that it took about 2 to 3 weeks, but how many hours would you say that you have invested into the project?
Well, between both Jeff and I'd say it was probably closer to between 40 and 60 rather than 100 hours. And I think the main reason for that is Jeff is already an expert in so many of the things we needed for this project. Anything to do with terminal or Node, he was a lot more comfortable than I was. So if this project would have been 2 people of my skill level, it probably would have been closer to the 100-hour guess for hours.
Okay. And someone else asked, you guys are using a lot of CSS transitions and things like that. How is the browser compatibility?
That's an interesting question. It's something that hasn't really come up yet. All of the people working on the project, I don't know which browsers we were using as far as me and Jeff and Joey and Quincy and Michael when they were looking at it. I was using Chrome. We never actually went and tested it in a bunch of different browsers. So if anybody finds any issues, let me know and we'll fix them.
Okay. Okay. And then we had another question out of chat just now that was not that. So Ilil asks, will there be anything on the design portion? Many coders have never used a mockup or a wireframe. Again, we have to look at where we're focusing the time that you guys spend. Mockups and wireframes are pretty easy to do. And a lot of the stuff will be like the tertiary things will be in blogs. We can't
we can't put everything in there. Otherwise, our 1,600-hour curriculum will grow to 2,000 to 2,500 to 3,000 to a lifetime. Which, if you're pursuing any type of career and you want to be a professional, you're always learning new things. You're always learning ways to do new things. So we'll continue providing external resources, and you guys will see mention of it in Slack when we talk about it. In fact, we have a great blog post on 10 steps to plan better so you can write less code, where, you talk about the user story, you talk about API authoring, and really go into the planning portions of projects. So, yeah, lifetime FCC. Well, ideally, you guys will finish we'd love for everyone to stick around, but ideally what happens is you guys knock out some awesome nonprofit projects, and then you go forth and get a job, and you continue learning and being mentored and mentoring in a professional role, and then give back to freeCodeCamp as you can. So I think I saw another question fly by that says, has anyone completed freeCodeCamp? I'll be honest, no one's completed freeCodeCamp, not a single person, and hardly anyone does. And the reason is, if you have the dedication to get through into our nonprofits, we actually have scheduled in that 1,600 hours is about 3 or 4 nonprofit projects. No one's there yet, and the reason why they don't is because they end up getting jobs before they can complete all of the nonprofits. So, it's sad that no one has completed it yet, but it's also a big win, because once people complete their first 1 or 2, they end up going and getting jobs.
Right. This is Quincy. I just want to add that we are erring on the side of vigor and rigor, and trying to make the curriculum the most challenging. So ideally, it's a lot harder than what you'd encounter at like Hack Reactor or some of these other boot camps. Like that's what we're going for. We want it to be as rigorous as possible, so that like if you do actually complete freeCodeCamp, it really means something. It really means you hustled, not just filled a seat for 12 weeks or a few semesters in a master's degree program, that you've actually spent a substantial amount of time coding and designing apps. And so with that, I think we're almost to the end of the hour, unless anybody else on the stream has anything they wanted to say.
I'll add one more thing, especially on the design, because we have been getting questions. So the fact of the matter is that a lot of the best tools out there aren't free right now. That's the state of the market. If you want to use Sketch or you want to use balsamic mockups for your mocking and wireframing, you absolutely can. They're free for 30 days, and then you have to pay for them. We really don't want to try and push you guys towards any product. We don't get feedback, or we don't get kickbacks from any company by recommending their product. Like, we recommend Screen Hero for pair programming. Slack certainly doesn't give us any money for recommending that. Quincy and myself are big JetBrains users for WebStorm, and I assure you that neither of us have received a dime. freeCodeCamp does not get any money based on our recommendation of using their editor versus free editors that are out there like Atom. So when you guys are like, oh, this tool's great, you should teach it. You have to think about it from our perspective, in that we don't want to tell people to go buy something when they may end up not using it.
Right. So this is Quincy. So yes, like at some point we'd love for Slack or JetBrains or some of these big established players to give us preferential treatment, and we're hopeful that will happen sooner rather than later. That's something we're actively working on, is working out these kinds of partnerships with these organizations. But we'll be very transparent if we do get such a partnership in place. And as always, the objective will remain the same. We want to help all of you learn to code and get a coding job. And that is why we're here, and that's why we're all collaborating, including you guys, collaborating on making FreeCodeCamp as effective and hospitable a community as possible.
Well said. I say we end on that note.
All right, wonderful. Well, does anybody want to pick up the stream after this? We have like 191 people watching, and would anyone like to stream development of some form, or just throw on some music and keep coding?
I could probably do something. Actually, no, I need a break. Anyone? Yeah. So, does anyone else want to take over?
Well, if nobody else wants to, I will. I'll be happy to continue streaming. It'll take me a minute or two to get set up, but then I'll go ahead and start streaming.
Yep. There will be a replay, guys. As soon as I end this, we'll wait for Twitch to do its twitchy things in the background, and then we'll export this Saturday Summit to YouTube. So thanks for watching. Stick around. Quincy's going to fire up the hamsters, get the wheel spinning, and he'll pick up the stream shortly.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,